Alright, what's up guys? We're in the video part of the direct instruction. Inside your notes, you just came to this portion right here. The last PowerPoint slide you saw with Mr. Anders looks just like this. So, let's go ahead and fill in our notes. Looking at the left, what are the 7 characteristics of all living things? Make sure we find this in our notes. On our right, we have 7 numbers. Looks like one is blank, that's what we're going to have to fill in. What are the 7 characteristics of all living things? Make sure you fill in 1. Living things are composed of cells. Notice this is in blue on the right, this is in red on the left. Number 1. Living things are composed of cells. We have got to know this. This is key, and this is a big principle for the rest of this class. All living things are made out of cells. 2. Living things have different levels of organization. We're going to cover this in this unit. Living things use energy. We're going to also cover this in this unit. 4. Living things respond to their environment. Once again, we're going to cover that in this unit. 5. Living things grow. That's going to be in Unit 2. 6. Living things reproduce. That's going to be in Unit 2. 7. Living things adapt to their environment. We're going to cover that in Unit 4. But for right now, we have to have a general idea that we know that things that are alive grow, they reproduce, they respond to their environment. Just like if someone were to flash a light in your eye while you're sleeping, you're going to wake up. You respond to your environment. Use energy. That's why people drink energy drinks. We need energy for every single thing that we do. I'm going to cover that in more detail. And living things have different levels of organization. That's going to be coming up very soon, so look forward to that. So let's go on to our first question. Why isn't a wooden door alive? A wooden door cannot reproduce. B. A wooden door is made from a tree. C. A wooden door is hard. D. A wooden door is not made out of cells. Make sure you choose the answer that not only is true, but explains why a wooden door is alive. Let's take a look at each answer option. D says a wooden door is not made out of cells. That's not true. Wood comes from trees. Trees are made out of cells. So wooden doors are made out of cells. C. A wooden door is hard. This is true, but does not explain why a wooden door is not alive. B. A wooden door is made from a tree. This is true, but does not explain why a wooden door is not alive. A. Wooden door cannot reproduce. That is key. It is made from cells, but these cells are no longer living. They're not able to reproduce. One wooden door can't make wooden door babies. A tree can make little tree babies, but a wooden door cannot. So look at number 2. Why isn't fire alive? A. Fire doesn't use energy. B. Fire can't grow. C. Fire is hot. D. Fire does not have cells. Make sure you think about every single answer and make sure it proves that fire is alive or is not alive. So looking at A. Fire doesn't use energy. Fire does use energy. It's very important. The fire grows by burning energy. That's why it's so hot, that hot energy that fire uses. But that doesn't explain why fire is not alive. Fire can't grow. That's not true. Fires could go from being small to a wildfire just because someone chooses to litter a burnt cigarette or a lit match and doesn't make sure that it's put out all the way. C. Fire is hot. This is true, but that doesn't explain why fire is not alive. D. Fire does not have cells. Ding, 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 ding. Fire does not have cells. Every living thing is made out of cells. We know this. Fire is not a living thing. Moving on in our notes, what is an organism? So on the left here it says what is an organism? Make sure we see that it is red here. Organisms, that's green, make sure you box it, are the things that possess all characteristics of life. Anything that is alive is an organism. This means that they have all 7 from the list above. We're going to focus on cells, a very special part of life. That's what today's lesson is about. But make sure we understand that organisms are anything that has all 7 of those traits. Dogs, trees, plants, bushes, roses, cows, ants, mosquitoes. Every single living thing is an organism. Next slide, we got what are cells in red. Make sure we find in our notes what are cells. Boom, boom, down here. Cells, box it, it's in green, the basic and smallest unit of life. Also, all life forms are made up of cells, we know this. Common properties of cells. All cells are made up of DNA. All cells are surrounded by a cell membrane. Membranes surround the cell and keep good things in and bad things out. Box membranes. This is a very key organelle. An organelle is a part of the cell. We're going to focus a lot on membranes. And then cells can grow, divide, and reproduce. These are all important properties. You need to make sure that you understand these. So don't just read them once. Make sure you're able to explain that all cells have these common properties. DNA, that's what makes you you. That's what makes you unique. A membrane, that's what separates the cell. We're going to look at some pictures shortly. And that cells can grow, divide, and reproduce. Those are part of the key characteristics of life. And each cell is capable of those things. Some more questions. Which of the following is not true? A. Cells are surrounded by a membrane. B. Cells are the basic unit of life. C. Humans are made out of cells. D. Everything on our planet is made out of cells. Looking at A, all cells are surrounded by a membrane. That's true. We just saw that in this slide. All cells are surrounded by a cell membrane. B, cells are the basic unit of life. We see that here. Cells are the basic unit of life. C, humans are made out of cells. Humans are alive. They're an organism, so they must be made out of cells. All life forms are made up out of cells. D, everything on our planet is made out of cells. That is not true. Every living thing on our planet is made out of cells. But if you look at plastic, if you look at metal, if you look at a lot of things that are not alive, they are not made out of cells. Next question. Which of the following is a living organism? A house, B, a star, C, an ant, D, an iPad. For this, we got to make sure we keep in mind our 7 characteristics of life. So make sure you're referencing these as we go through. Looking at these answer options, a house. Some parts are made out of cells, some are not. Houses cannot reproduce. They cannot grow unless humans build more house next to it. They do not respond to stimulus. Houses are not alive. Star. Stars do grow. Stars do use energy. But stars are not made out of cells. They do not reproduce and they do not evolve. They change, but they don't evolve in the same way that organisms evolve. Looking at C, ants. Ants are alive. They respond to their environment. They reproduce. They grow. They evolve. Ants possess all the characteristics of life. Ants are a living thing. iPads. They use energy. That's why you have to charge them. We know this. But iPads can't reproduce, and they're not made out of cells. They're not a living thing. Which of the following organisms is not a living organism? So looking at these organisms, we've got to figure out which one is not an organism. A, bacteria. Living organism. Single-celled, but it's alive. B, wooden desk. Wooden desks, definitely not an organism. It's made from an organism, which is a tree, but the wooden desk is not capable of reproducing. It's not capable of growing. It is not alive. Rabbits and mosquitoes are living organisms. So here are some pictures of some blood cells. The cell membrane is the part that surrounds all the cells. So basically the outer edge of the cells is the cell membrane. Here we have bone cells. Bone cells are really interesting. So they are responsible for making these red blood cells. The inside of the bones develop and make red blood cells. We got adipose or fat cells. This is what the cells that form fat in your body look like. Now people think that fat is always bad. No. Sometimes adipose or fat cells are very important in your development. We have muscle cells. These right here, you have them in your biceps, your legs. These are responsible for your body's movement, but your heart is also a muscle. And so are the muscles around your digestive system that allows you to eat. Here's a prokaryote. We're going to learn more about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Bacteria are also known as prokaryotes. And then we got some E. coli cells, an example of a bacteria. Way to go, guys. You just finished your first PowerPoint video lesson. Great job. Make sure that we have our notes all filled in. We have those 3 sections. What are the 7 characteristics of all living things? What is an organism? And what are cells? If you didn't get a chance to fill it in, make sure you go to my website in the Versal and you look at the PowerPoints. Now, make sure you finish your summaries, finish all these sentences, answer these questions. What do all living things have in common? What makes something alive? And what are cells? Then fill in the L section of your KWL chart that you started for your Do Now. Great work.